subject areas and desserts. I love my desserts. My favorite is Rocky Road. I crumble up cookies on top of it. I like that crunch as well as the soft and the sweet. So today what we're going to be doing is talking a little bit. And again, if you're in, make sure you're in the right room because there was a link challenge in the schedule. We're going to be talking about promoting student self-management and ownership. And again, if you're in the wrong place, please feel comfortable to step out and step back into the one that you want to be in with Ramona. Ramona is in room 5, and that has been updated inside of the schedule. So my name is Kim Loomis. I am retired. I love to say that I'm retired, but the great thing about being retired is you get to follow your passions. So my passion for the last probably 20 plus years has been digital learning. So I've been able to step down from a 45 to 60 hour work week as the director for online and blended learning there in Nevada, Clark County, and move into a position where I can help people across the nation. I've been working with schools in Arizona, Colorado, Virginia, Alaska, California. It has been so much fun to take my passion and share it with others. Yes, also I did write a book just prior to retiring, and so if you get a chance you might want to check it out, but it is really directed towards the secondary schools. But today what I really want to talk about is just a couple things. Having a balanced blended classroom. How do we create student self-management and ownership in that classroom? And how do we create those habits of mind that are going to help students be successful, not only in the digital world, but in the global world, right? The DEIs, right? The diversity, the equity, and the inequalities that we literally want to address, and how do they understand their cultures and stuff. So we're going to spend some time really talking about that. But I truly believe that the core business of schools is relationships and learning. And notice I put those in a particular order. I did not put learning at top, because I truly believe if you do not have a relationship with your students, they are less likely to want to perform for you. Because you and I know, I taught high school math for 10 years. And there were some kids, and no matter what I did, I couldn't reach to them. And in spite of Miss Loomis, they were going to fail my course. They might have been really smart, but they just didn't like Miss Loomis. So they would just be like, I'm out of here. And so they would just, shut down. So that relationship becomes really, really important when we're dealing with students. Now, the first part of that relationship is that caring relationship, right? I'm a big fan of when kids came to my classroom, we would high five. I would talk to them about their weekends. Outside that door, standing outside that door was so, so important. And you can do it in Zoom classes as well. I don't know if you noticed, I was here 5 minutes earlier. I had the little interactive at the top there, finding out what kind of cheesecake, and Rocky Road, again, somebody likes my favorite. That's a big part of establishing those relationships before we even get into learning, right? So I want to start us off with a great video, and I'm going to tell you guys, you're going to want to take this video and you're going to want to use it in your classroom, because not only does it talk about grit and perseverance and determination, which we all need, no matter what age we are. If we're in kindergarten, high school, college, even if we're 30 or, well, my age is over 50, right? We still need to have that grit, perseverance, and determination. So this is a great 2-minute video. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick change on my share screen here, see if I can get this video to come up for us. And it was created by the virtual school in Florida. And I love this video, and the reason for it is that it's great in showing kids that they persevere in lots of things in their life. But we need to help them understand that they need to have perseverance in their social emotional learning. They need to have perseverance in dealing with their parents. They need to have perseverance in the classroom. So it's not just about classroom, it's about just persevering. So let's take that 2 minutes and watch this video. And if you have a problem seeing or hearing it, please let me know.
This is a story about grit, and why it might just be the key to your success. So what the heck is grit? Well, officially it's the combination of persistence and resilience. Big words, huh? Persistence means you keep going even when the going gets tough, and you stay focused on the task without getting distracted. Resilience is toughness. When you get knocked down, you bounce back up and try again. When you have both of these qualities, we call that grit. And once you have grit, you can learn anything. But why is grit so important to learning? Because when things are easy and you're coasting along, it's nice. It might even be fun for a while, but you're not learning. Learning comes from struggle, from trying and failing, then learning from your mistakes. Remember when you first learned to ride a bike? Or swim? Or play an instrument? Or do long division? It seems impossible at first, and if you gave up after the first try, it would be. But you're persistent. You keep trying. You start to get the hang of it. You practice. You work at it a little bit at a time, and eventually it starts to get easier for you. You learn from your mistakes, and the more you work, the easier it gets. But remember, learning is hard work. That's why you need grit. Because the key to success in school and life is how you react when things don't go your way. So the next time you're struggling with something in your life, or in your science book, just remember, it's part of learning. And with a little hard work and a lot of grit, you can do things that once seemed impossible.
Now, isn't that an awesome video? I absolutely love it. I stole it from Florida Virtual, but it is absolutely great. I mean, and so there was a question in the chat earlier that said, do we have access? I made a small bit.ly for this one because I use it all the time. Bit.lys are cap sensitive. So you'll notice down there on the slide, it's bit.ly with the lower cases /I3 and then a capital PD -V for video 009. So this is a great video to show in your classroom. What I'd like to do though right now is I want us to think about the grit that we've had to have over these last couple of weeks, over this last couple of almost 2 years now that we're moving into it. I want us to go into breakout rooms, and Tina, I don't know if I can do that or if you can do that. But I want us to take into our breakout rooms. I want us to think about how are you and your students doing with grit right now, just persevering through everything that we have at this moment. And
I can do breakout rooms. How many breakout rooms?
Can we just get 5 in each room? Give me 10 breakout rooms. And just an FYI, guys, if you stick with me at the very end here, I will give you a link to the PowerPoint slide, and all of that will have all this information in it. You don't have to feel like you have to take notes while we're going. So don't worry about that. All the links will be there and you'll have the access to it. So if you just stick with me, it is towards the end. It's another bit.ly. So Tina, are we ready for those breakout rooms? We're going to give you guys about 5 minutes to talk about your students' well-being. How are you gritting? How are you being perseverance? What is your mental health in right now?
All right, I'm going to go ahead and start them.
All right, we're going to give you 5 minutes. We'll be back in 5. We'll see you shortly.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I clicked the room 5, but it directed me here. I also click room number 4, and it also directed me here. I didn't see the sign-in link a while ago. Can you please send the sign-in link?
I'll send that again when we go back to the large group. Right now, we're all in small groups.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Is that Daisy or is that Dana? Tina, can you assign her a room, just stick her in the room for us? Okay, great, thanks.
Kim, I do have a question, and
okay.
I'm sorry I keep coming in and out. How do I get to room 5? Because I've refreshed my link and it's not working.
Yes, actually, that's my
Were you supposed to go to room 5 as well?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so all you room 5ers are stuck with me right here? Okay. That's because I was assigned room 5 too.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
So you know what? We're here. We can talk. How are your students and yourself doing on your well-being? Are you being gritty? Are you persevering? Talk to me.
No, I mean room 5, like
Oh,
the
room 5
other,
as in, okay, go
the
back into
moment.
the schedule. Yeah, go back into the schedule. If you want to go into room 5,
Mhm.
they've refreshed the schedule. So go back, refresh your screen, or another way in is go back to session 1 and then click on the room 5 and it'll get there because it's the same link. But what happened is the second session had our room. So
Okay.
if you wanted that flipped classroom with Ramona, yes, exactly. Go back into the schedule. I would go to session 1. It's probably the fastest way.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I've enjoyed this, but
Awesome. Thank you.
bye.
Hi, I'll just join this.
You are welcome to hang with us. You are totally
Yes.
welcome to hang with us.
Yeah. Thank
But
you.
yeah, like I said, you can get into room 5 with Ramona, and I think she's doing flipped classroom just by going back into the Canvas class and go to session 1 and go up to whatever that title was in room in session 1. Or you can refresh the screen. My understanding is they've fixed that link.
I'll just join this.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
You are welcome to hang with us. Interesting enough, you all said room 5, and I was assigned room 5 in a breakout, and I didn't go.
Can you assign me in the breakout room?
Yeah, and Tina, are you here? Can you do that? Is it Daisy that we just need to assign a
Yes.
breakout room?
Let me see if it'll let me.
I'll tell you what, Daisy, if we can't get you in, you are welcome to talk to me about your and your students' mental well-being.
Yeah, my students now are some of them don't like to work.
Yeah, they've gotten used to like sitting in their beds and being on their
Mm.
videos. Yes,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah, it's
So
like
that's
pulling
why.
teeth.
Mm,
Is it like pulling teeth?
can you say that again? I'm sorry.
Is it difficult to get them motivated?
Yeah, some of them.
Mhm. But that was the
Oh,
same case that we had when you know, we had them in face to face. Some of them were hard to get motivated as well.
we're face to face now. I'm invited now to join room 5. Can I join this now?
Yes, please do.
Okay, thanks.
Tina, did you put a timer on the room?
I didn't, so I can send them a message whenever
No,
you're ready for me to close it.
Oh, you did not put a timer on the room? You didn't say?
No.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and give them the 90-second warning. It'll come up when you ask them to close. It'll give them a 60-second countdown. Because we're at 4 minutes now. So each of my sessions have a breakout room, just so you know, Tina.
Yeah, they didn't tell me that.
I did say that. I should have told you when I know we were still dealing with Conley before, but yeah, each of them, I think they at least have one. Some might have 2.
I can try and get it built earlier for the next one, but
Yeah, and it'll all depend on size too, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, this
well,
one
this
we
is
had,
easy to do on the fly anyhow.
good.
You just tell me when to close them. I think they have about 30 seconds more.
I can see the countdown. What will happen is all the participant numbers will go. And normally when I post this, I edit out breakout rooms. I don't know if you guys will, but welcome back. Welcome back. I see that some of us are coming back. Hopefully you had a great opportunity to talk about your and your students' well-being, because I know right now it's tough. And some students are coming back after a year and a half out. And I was talking to somebody in the main room and they were talking about how hard it is to get students motivated. I'm sure that came up in your room as well. So again, welcome back. Welcome back. I really appreciate your opportunities to share with one another. I was saying previously that the grit video is a great place to help your students understand not just that learning is hard work. I think everything that we're doing right now is hard. And I think that that becomes a real struggle when we talk about the social emotional learning that's going on and the well-being of our students. So helping them understand, having that perseverance and understanding that we'll get through it. Because as you know, I had a daughter who was a senior last year that struggled. Her entire senior year was here at home. Even when Clark County allowed students to come back, she made the choice to not. She just said it was easier, Mom, to stay home for her because she was at a magnet school. So there was a little bit of travel. So anybody want to share something that came up, a spotlight or something that came out in their room? You're welcome to unmic yourself, or you can stick it in the chat.
I guess I want to say that I'm teaching I'm at an elementary school, and we have kids being naughty and doing the TikTok destruction of the classroom or restrooms and whatnot. And it's really sad. I mean, it just breaks my heart that instead of wanting to learn, they're doing stuff like that. So that's been something tough that our school, and I'm sure other schools, are dealing with right now. And this is only elementary.
Yeah, that's tough. That TikTok challenge is just, the destruction I'm seeing is just crazy. I don't know if you noticed that the last TikTok challenge was to assault a teacher. So I'm just going to say out there, thinking of your mental well-being, please be careful. You know, that's the hard part. But I think if we really help kids focus in on understanding that their well-being is important to us, that's going to help us with establishing that relationships. And once we establish those relationships, we can get to the learning. I think that we were all so excited to get to the learning that we started with learning and not the relationships. And I think that that's where we need to come back to. And still keys. Yes, Rebecca, exactly. So what I want to talk about a little bit is the learning part. So I like to talk about the CIA, or the curriculum, the instruction, and the assessment of blended learning. And you're going to hear me say the 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 balance, because to me, it's really about balancing everything that we have in front of us from curriculum, instruction, and assessment. So let me define blended learning for you in a moment. I'm going to use depth of knowledge, Webb's depth of knowledge. And I know some of you are familiar with Bloom's taxonomy. So I wanted to give you just an idea. When I say DOK level 1 and 2, which is recall and skills and concepts, we're really talking about that lower portion of the Bloom's taxonomy. And when I say we want to stretch the kids to DOK levels 3 and 4, of course, we're starting to get to that upper point or the pinnacle point of the pyramid. So please, when I say DOK 1 and 2 or DOK 3 and 5, just know that it's very similar to Bloom's taxonomy that some of you may be familiar with. So let's define blended learning. I like to say that blended personalized learning, and notice I don't just call it blended learning. I use the term personalized in there because this is the opportunity for us to personalize that learning. As you guys saw in the last 18 months, we're going to take the wisdom of our teachers, because you guys are super smart. Some of you have master's degrees. Some of you have doctorate degrees and wrote books, right? You guys are super smart. You know your standards. You know how to react with kids. I mean, you are super smart. Your relationships are so important, which will never happen in a tech world, right? You can never replace a teacher because the tech doesn't understand all of that. It understands the ones and the zeros that it's been programmed to. That's what makes it strong, is it's adaptable to each individual student. So if we can take your wisdom, add in the adaptability of technology, then we can get a personalized learning space for each and every individual student. Now, these icons, the teacher, the tech, and the students, are our 1/3. Right? Those are really the 3 people who matter in our blended personalized classroom. Or, you know, the tech's not a person, but it helps us to personalize for each and every individual student. So you're going to hear me say 1/3 tech, 1/3 teacher, 1/3 student. And this becomes really important because when you look at this screen, you're seeing that 1/3 of the time you, the teacher, is leading. 2/3 of the time we're releasing. We're releasing to technology. We're going to let it carry a little bit, and we're going to release to our students so that they can manage and own their own learning. So keep this 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 in balance. Now, I like to call it the CIA of blended, not just curriculum, but digital curriculum. not just instruction, but guided instruction, and not just assessment. We want to really get to that authentic assessment beyond tests and quizzes, where the kids are really getting to those higher orders of the peak of the Bloom's taxonomy, or what we would say the higher numbers in Deb's web depth of knowledge. I like to use, you can see the triple Venn diagram over in the corner, and we're shooting right for that middle where we have a good 1/3, 1/3 balance. Now, I will tell you, that doesn't mean that each and every lesson needs to be 1/3 tech, 1/3 teacher, 1/3 student. It means over a unit of study, think about how you can balance that 1/3. So again, here's our triple Venn diagram. I'm going to focus on one piece of that triple Venn diagram today. I'm going to focus in on the student portion of it, right? So when we think of the CIA, and I'll give you some reference material at the end, when we think of that today, I am only focusing on how can we help that 1/3 that's built around the student. So when you are unit planning, think about, when can I release the content to the digital curriculum? And there's another session after this, it'll talk more about digital curriculum. When can I release the learning to my students? Now, you guys have years of experience on guided instruction. I'm not using the term direct instruction, but guided instruction, right? You know your standards, you know what depth of knowledge that they need to be at. And oftentimes it's not level 1 and 2, but we're stuck in designing classes and lessons that are in 1 and 2. But if we can release that to the digital content and to our students to own and self-manage, then we can free ourselves up to really help in that relationship field. So again, notice at the bottom here, it says DOK 1 and 2, that low level stuff. Let's release that to digital curriculum. But we still have to do interventions and scaffolds and stretching the learning. So we're going to push our kids through DOK level 1 to 3, trying to strive for that higher order. But that higher order really is DOK level 4, or what we would say at the very top of Bloom's pyramid, is where the students have to create, collaborate, be critical thinkers, right? Get them into those 4 C's. So when we talk about the authentic assessment, I'm really talking about those 4 C's. How can we get our students to really start critically thinking about content, getting the DOK delivered via another venue, via you could design videos, or you can use, Khan Academy, right? Get that DOK level 1 and 2 designed for them. But how can we get them to 3 and 4, where they're really critically thinking, communicating, and collaborating with their peers, and doing some really creative performance task projects? That's what we really want to work on when we're looking at that third of our students. But to get there, what it really is going to take for us is designing lessons that release the learning for self-management and ownership to our students. So we need to create an environment where students are communicating and collaborating. So small groups are great. Quiz trade is great. All those little things where they're really connecting with their peers and they're using the academic vocabulary in your classroom. I can't own the academic vocabulary if I'm not using it. So think about different activities or protocols you can use in your classroom. One I like is called the 1, 2, and 4. 1, I'm going to think about something by myself. 2, I'm going to pair up with a partner and we're going to discuss that idea. And 4, I'm going to do 2 pairs together, or 4 of us together, to collaborate, right? That's just a protocol. That's just something that I can use in my classroom in lots of different ways to get that communication and collaboration going. But I really want to push into that critical thinking and creativity. And that's when we can start looking at, hey, instead of doing a regular report, maybe you want to do a video or a blogcast, or maybe let's work together as a team. We'll use Jamboard to brainstorm what we want to do, put that proposal in front of our teacher to say, can we do this? Or you can do it individually, but really look for those ways that you can pull those 4 C's out of your kids so that they can manage and own their own learning. Right? That's the key here, right? Because what we want to do is we want to get beyond that bottom of this pyramid, right? You've seen this pyramid. 90% of what we say and do is what we call, active learning. So we really need to get the students to do that active learning, participating in discussions. Look at that red section there, right? They will remember 70% of what they say, not what we say. Not us as an instructor, because that's hearing. And notice hearing is way at the top of this. That's way up in the purple, right? We want to get those kids down in the bottom of this, doing some really good stuff. And even those small videos that either we create or curate, That's hearing and seeing. That's right in the middle. That's 50%. That's why it's so important to release some of that learning to digital content. So it becomes really important for us to really push those kids to DOK level 3 and 4. And the only way we can do that is through ownership and self-management, right? So setting up peer-to-peer or teamwork or opportunities to be active in the strategies, doing the Socratic seminars, open-ended, or document-based questions, thinking about research, but not just research, but something that they've chosen to research. I got a young, nephew who loves camping. If he was asked to do research, dude, he could do a whole research thing on camping because he's researched it. He's watched a gazillion videos. He's read several articles. He's talked to people who enjoy camping. So he could do something that's a personal interest and still make all the things that we want in a research paper, an opening sentence, all of those things that go with it. Performance tasks, right? Working with groups and putting things together, and projects, right? Projects learning. Oh my God, that is the higher order that we really, really definitely want to take our students to. So think through, when can I release to my students? Right? And the best time to release to your students is, after they've done DOK level 1 and 2, but don't feel that you are the one that has to do DOK level 1 and 2. That's what digital partners are for. You can use Discovery Ed. You can create your own videos. There's lots of different places that they can get DOK level 1 and 2 that doesn't have to be direct instruction. You can guide the instruction once you release to the students. You do what's called teaching by walking around. And that's all about relationships. That's how we get those relationships going. So I'm going to, again, at the end, I'm going to give you guys this slideshow, but you're going to be able to see down there, there's a bit.ly for the protocols. I love these. Mark Dellinger, he put together some protocols. It used to have a lot more. And the other day I revisited it and he had reduced some of them. He had put them in the private section, but there's some great ones here. My favorite is Quiz Trade. Love it. A lot of these you guys have probably heard. They're Kagan strategies, right? It's that communication, that collaboration. It's the 4 C's. It's getting the kids together to use the academic vocabulary to reach those higher levels of understanding. One of the reasons our students are frustrated is they're not active and they're not engaged. So we need to get them active and engaged, because you and I know when they're bored, that's when they become a problem. So we want to make sure that we get them actively engaged. So here's the key here, right? We want to get our students so that they can self-manage and they can own their learning. But you and I know it takes a lot to get there, especially some of our small kids. They're still learning what are some of what we would call the 21st century skills. So one thing that we need to do is we need to shift the way that we teach so that we can get to ownership. So in stage 1 is a lot of teacher led, right? The students are, they're engaged. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they're not engaged, but it's a lot of teacher directed. Who's owning it? Who's managing it? We are. Right? I'm hoping that after today that you're going to learn so much at this summit that you're already into or you're pushing into and going to be at stage 2 at teacher facilitation. Now, this is that walking around while teaching, right? Or teaching by walking around. This is when I can put a playlist out in front of my kids, or I can put a choice board out in front of my kids, right? I can shift the facilitation. I have done my work. The heart and soul of the teacher has created this playlist. I've gone through, I found some really good things I want my kids to do. I'm going to shift the learning. I'm going to put it onto the students. Now they have to manage their time and they have to own the learning. And I get to teach by walking around. So I get to build relationships, and still I'm monitoring. Because that, little Billy in the back of the room who never does anything, I'm still probably going to have to go over and help him a little bit, even on a playlist or a choice board to get him started, right? Because those are going to be important. Maybe I might have to pull a small group because there might be a couple of those kids, but I want to move away from direct instruction always being buried on me, because I can't teach by walking around. I can't build those relationships if I'm always standing at the front of the room. So that becomes important for us to move to stage 3. Later, stage 3 is great for high schools and colleges where they co-facilitate the learning. So there's an exchange of ideas and strategies. This is, again, goes back to that project I was talking about with my nephew. He loves camping. Give him a choice. He can do the research on camping. Who says that he has to do a research on a certain thing, right? So think through what that can happen, because that's when students really take ownership, when they have choice and voice. So keep in mind, that's where we want to push to. I'm going to really try to get you guys to think get beyond stage 1 and into teacher facilitation, or stage 2. So how do we do that? Okay, in the chat, yes and no. How many of you have seen this before? No, I've never seen it before. Yes, I've seen it. So over in the chat, oh, look at that. A lot of no's coming through. Look at, I'm so glad you're here. Oh my goodness, because this is something we have to teach our students, right? We can't ask them to take ownership or to self-manage if they don't understand the learning pit. And so again, this is something that we need to teach our students. We need to help them understand that for them to learn, they're going to have to take a leap off of a cliff into the unknown. It's something they don't know. And so notice this here, this comes from James Nottingham, and he wrote a book that's called The Learning Challenge. If you go to his website, and like I said, the information is on the link, I think is here. He's got this poster and several others that you could hang up in your classroom. And so these posters are free. You go right to his learningchallenge.com, I believe. I can't even remember. But like I said, this poster came right off of his site. But helping the kids understand, and maybe even drawing this, especially with our younger kids, what does it look like? I'm going to take that leap. I'm going to down here and I'm going to be confused. That's called the pit. And helping students understand that that's where they're going to be. They're going to be confused, but they can climb out of it. They can use strategies like problem solving, communicating with their peers. They can research something. They can Google it, right? They can climb themselves out till they start getting it and get to the very top of Eureka of understanding something. So again, this is called the Learning Challenge from James Nottingham. You need to teach this to your kids. Thank you, Fred. I appreciate you putting it in there. You need to teach this to your kids because they need to know what that process is, because so many of our kids don't take that leap because they're one, fearful, and two, they feel like they're dumb. Well, we're all dumb when we're learning something, right? So help our kids understand, okay, we're going to try something new. We're going to take a leap of faith and we're going to go through this. It's not going to be easy as you thought it was. There are going to be times when you're going to be confused, and there are going to be times that we can crawl right out of it. So please teach this to your students, right? The other things we need to really talk about is the building blocks for learning. And again, you'll notice there's a PDF down there at the bottom. This comes off of, it's called Turnaround for Children. I love this site. It talks about, notice we can't get our kids to self-direction and curiosity, which we all want, if they don't have self-awareness, which is down there into school readiness, or if they don't have social awareness and relationship skills, right? So sometimes in our classrooms, we need to back up. We need to make sure that we create environments where they're building relationship skills, where they're understanding self-awareness, maybe doing self-checks, right? Your exit ticket may not be just for you, it might be for them, so that we can push them into that growth mindset, push them into agency, and push them into curiosity. So this is a great document. If you get some time, please take some time to read it, because everything I'm talking about, guys, truly, as you guys know, is social emotional learning. And if we do small groups, if we do the 4 C's, if we do project learning, if we do playlists, if we do jam boards where they're brainstorming with their peers, what are we creating? We're creating an environment where they're having to make responsible decisions, where they're having relationships skills building because they're working with their peers. We're helping them with understanding their own culture and diversity and social awareness. And it also helps them with exactly what the title of this session is, which is self-management and self-awareness. So if we can start thinking about when can we release to our students a third of the time, we are doing social emotional skills. It doesn't have to be a separate class. It can be a class that starts with, today we're going to be working in groups. What does it look like in groups? What does trust look like? What does listening look like? You just did social emotional learning. You talked about social awareness and relationship skills. It's easy. It doesn't have to be a separate class. Now, I know we all have access to PBS. There's a PBS up in Reno. There's a PBS down here in Clark. Please take the time and search for these social emotional learning videos. These are great, especially at the elementary level. There's some that you might be able to pull into the middle school level, but you won't get there at the high school level. If you're high school, I'm going to suggest that you look up the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. Those are great. For the high school level. And there's some great videos that you can embed into the classroom on those. So one of the ways that we can get self-management and ownership in the classroom is we have to release, right? And what that means is we need to have a WAG or a weekly agenda so that the kids know what's going to happen, right? So they know what they're supposed to do and when things are due so that they can manage themselves. If we walk in every day and they don't know what they're going to be doing that day, it doesn't help them to self-manage or take ownership. So get those weekly agendas out, right? Help your parents, help your students so that they can self-manage and they can take ownership, right? And also have them track their data. If you're doing multiplication tables, have them start tracking their data on multiplication tables. If you're doing iReady, track how many lessons they're doing in iReady or Alex Math, right? Anytime they're tracking their own data, they're taking ownership. Then they can set goals for themselves, and you can do one-on-one conferencing with them and saying, look, maybe you know, here's your Alex report and you're showing a lot of numeration, but can we focus a little bit on geometry, right? Helping them with those types of things. So we're going to do a breakout room. 5 minutes, because we're running close to time, is what strategies are you currently using to push students to self-management and ownership? So Tina, if you can give me 5 breakout rooms, and we're going to give them 5 minutes. Let's do that. What strategies are you starting to do? I love the iPhone in the chat. See parallels to Maslow? Yeah, in the blocks. Love it. See you guys in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Please share strategies you're using to push students to self-manage and own. You each should have gotten an invite to a room. All you have to do is push the join button, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. Tina, thanks for the breakout rooms.
No problem.
Like I said, I know I have a couple. I just don't remember which ones have 2 and which ones only have 1. But you know what? You'll get good at this.
I know, because you know, we don't use Zoom at NDE, so I'm like,
You use
okay,
Teams, yeah.
I'll figure it out. I like to see that other people like Bitly's as much as I do.
And you see I have a cadence on my Bitleys.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not only just a Bitly, but to establish cadences on them so that it's really easy. Like, you know, I gave you guys V009. You know, there's a V008 and a V0010. What are they? Right?
Yeah.
You know? I'm pleasantly pleased with 56 participants.
Yeah, one of the presenters didn't show.
Oh, okay.
So they had to close down room 2 and send them out to other people. But you have, it looks like, probably 10, 15 more than all the rest of the groups.
Awesome. Well, you know, this is a very general topic too.
Yeah.
And so it's something that, oh, well. You guys did a great job with the NEPF. And again, if you guys want to send me this video, I can chop off this breakout time because it'll have our conversation. We can edit it out.
All right, I'll let Kat know that.
Yeah, because normally, and I forgot to push record on my end. Normally, when I put my videos up, I always pull out the breakouts.
Yeah, I hit record, but if
it'll record this room all the way through. All the way through. That's why I don't even do the stop share, because it'll be my face for 5 minutes.
Oh, they wanted me, they want me to stop and start and stop and start and stop and start.
Yeah, if you just send me the file, I can edit it.
Okay.
Yeah, because it is too much, especially because I do a lot of breakouts. I try to, again, preach what you know, practice what you preach, self-management and ownership. And that can't happen if we don't do small groups.
Well, Janie will have access to all the videos. I don't think I have access to them.
Okay.
Because they have me record into the cloud. So whoever has access to all those on the cloud.
Well, that's a bummer that somebody didn't show up.
I said I was thinking about this because, you know, you and I remember how far back we go,
A long way.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
working with Joan Ebert,
I know. A long way.
doing online before online was cool.
It was cool. We just didn't know it back then.
Oh,
You know what I love is that, can you give them the 60 seconds?
yeah.
The remote learning has really helped kids understand that there are other options and helped families understand that there are other options.
Well,
And
and
so we have
I
to
like
create
that
them.
you've really highlighted it, is that even in a regular traditional classroom, online learning provides the teacher ability to really differentiate instruction like they haven't been able to use before. So it's about getting our educators familiar with what tools and resources are out there and available to them, because that's part of the NEPF, right? That's
Yep,
2.2.
exactly. Exactly.
Right? Are you
Yep.
differentiating learning for your students based on their individual needs?
Awesome. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. I hope you had some good conversations. I know it was short. I wish I could give you more time. But keep in mind that the relationships you're building here today don't have to end. So if you hey, if they're Clark County or they're in your email system up in Washoe or wherever, you can still always connect with these people. That's building that family, building that relationship, somebody that you can bounce ideas off of. Because again, going back to our opening video, that grit and perseverance, we have to have that grit and perseverance ourselves, right? And that means we have to be able to manage our own well-being, which is, what are our outlets? Right. And then hopefully it's not the lunchroom where everybody's nagging and complaining, right? There's got to be another way. Hopefully it's somewhere where you're with people around you that want to do the same things that you do, that wants to push Loomis before blooms. I love it. You guys, you're awesome. All right. So hopefully you got some ideas, not only from your peers, but also from me. What I want to do is I want to take a moment and I want to talk about habits of mind. And I'm going to go through these quickly. And so I want you to use chat. As we go through some of these mindsets that I'm going to talk about here, I want you to type in chat, what are some instructional activities you're currently doing in your classroom that are help building these mindsets? So keep in mind that the habits are coming here in a moment, but I'm only going to do a couple at each time. So in chat, a chat's going to be going real fast, guys. So thinking about what are some activities that you can help. Okay. So here's our first two. How are you building flexibility and adaptability in your classroom, right? These are some mindsets that our students need to be able to take ownership and being able to self-manage, right? So hopefully you're incorporating some feedback and positive praising and those types of things. But think about also, how are you adapting the roles and the responsibilities and allowing kids in schedule changes? What is working in your climate so that the ambiguity, which is so big right now with the COVID situation and the changing, right? I'm a big fan even when we say flexibility, right? I am a big fan of picking 3 to 5 activities, right? Being kegging activities, being whatever it is, and being very good at those so that when I say 1, 2, 4, which is a protocol, my kids know how to adapt immediately. They're like, dude, I know how to do that. If I say quiz, trade, they know exactly what we're doing, right? So those become really important types of things. I love some of the stuff that's coming up in chat. Thank you so much for sharing. Rubrics, love it. Groups, love it. Okay, here's another one because y'all mentioned groups. How about teamwork and responsibility? Just because we put them in groups, that doesn't mean that there's teamwork. So how are you helping them to understand and negotiate and balance diverse views? Right? How are we helping them with multicultural and understanding that people have different cultures and ethnics and backgrounds and helping them understand their responsibility? Like, even if we put them in groups, I love it, picking roles to work. How are they managing their time? Are we putting timers up on the board so that the kids can see the countdown? My favorite is, oh God, I can't think of it right now, but put a timer up there. It's called Classroom. Dang it, it'll come to me. And I know this is what happens when you get over 50, guys, and helping them set and meet goals. We talked about it earlier, right? If I'm doing my multiplication facts and I can only get 13 done in 2 minutes, my next goal is when can I get 14 done? When can I get 15 done? I love it. Classroom screen. Exactly, June. That's it. Or use Class Dojo. You guys get it, right? Love Classroom screen, right? So those types of things. Okay, here's another one. How are you helping students with cross-cultural and leadership? Now, notice leadership is responsibility. We talked about ownership, right? How are they responsible for their own actions. I like to tell kids you need to be responsible for your action, deeds, and words, right? So if you have that in your social contract, again, that's a good activity, right? If you have a social contract, or if you're using learner profiles, right? Helping them understand what their actions, deeds, and words, and they need to be responsible for them. If they're kicking somebody underneath the table, that's a form of leadership, and call it out as leadership, right? And helping them with understanding, leveraging those social and cultural differences, right? What do I bring from my minute? Oh, I love it. Minute 20. What do I bring from my background that I can put into this background? I got another set for us. We talked about culturals. We talked about leadership. This is the one that goes right back to where we started today. Persisting and initiative, right? Earlier in the beginning, I had somebody say, I can't get the kids started. How are you motivating the kids? You know, what does it look like? How do you help them? Teaching by walking around is a great way to help students, right? Help students get through this. And that persistence, guys, put down that video. I3PD-V009 for grit. Absolutely. iMessages, love it. Yes, these are some things that we need to think through. How are we developing it? Because we can't just say, oh, I need you to own this. We need to create an environment. And that's where the teaching third becomes really important, with playlists, small groups, choice boards, all of those things that we're doing in our classroom. How are we creating those ownerships? Now, there's a whole book called 16 Habits of Mine, right? I only pulled a couple out. Champs, love it. Love Champs, right? Solar is a great one too. Slant, using those types of things, helping kids with them. I'm going to suggest is find 3 of these habits. There are 16 habits. Find 3 that you want to focus in on. Daily 5, love it. Find 3 to really focus in on, and tell your kids, this is what we're going to work on this 9 weeks or this 7 weeks. And just say, we're going to work on persisting, and we're going to work on managing impulsivity. We're going to work on flexibility, right? We're going to start working on those things, and then call it out in your classroom. Oh, Johnny, I like the way that you persisted today. I saw that you struggled and you went and you asked, not me, but you asked your partner how to work through those types of things. Really calling those out, not being, just in the instruction, but calling out those social emotional learning opportunities. All right, we're almost done for today. So what is one thing that you can do now to start self-managing? Take a note on that. And while you're doing that and writing it down, I want you to think about, I've got an opportunity for you. Here's where you can get the slides. It's at bit.ly NDE S for slides 001. So bit.ly/NDE for Nevada Department of Education -S as in slides 001. We have a bunch of workshops coming up. This will be in the slide deck, guys, all the dates. They all start with a webinar. And if you want to take that learning deeper into your classroom, you can do the workshop and you can get additional hours. But you're all invited to the webinars. The webinars are 45 minutes on Tuesdays. You'll notice the dates. We have 2 different series, blended learning as well as the learner-centered one. And also, I don't know if you guys know this, but a year ago, I actually did a 5-part blended learning video series for the Nevada Department of Education. So again, these 2 things are in the bit.ly, and I'll go back up to the bit.ly and I'll actually add it here. Give me 2 seconds. So again, if you want to get to, hold on, let me do an escape for just a moment. Somebody can help me out. That would be great. Kim, you're so awesome to learn from. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time. Please take the time to do the survey at the end. I will tell you, I'm totally stoked to see 50+ people because, like I said, I'm 50+ years. So hopefully you took 1 or 2 good items, or 1 or at least out of here. Please use the grit video, look at the learning blocks, think about when you can release that stuff to your students. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. I'm going to stay here in room 4. I just talked about students. I'm going to start talking about digital content next. And my last one, I'll wrap up with teaching instruction, which is student-centered learning. Have a great day, guys. I'm 60 years old. Awesome, Nancy. I already posted the grit video in my Canvas course. You guys